Alright, so today we'll be showing the brand new STX Duel 2 with a mid to mid-low pocket, which is going to be fantastic for face-off guys. This one is strung with STX Super Soft Memory Mesh, so once again it's already pretty soft. Has a really nice looking channel, and the pocket definition is pretty great as well. So let's go ahead and get into the tutorial. Alright, so before we begin the tutorial, you will need to do a 9-diamond top string. Just like you can see I have here, you're going to do that 9-diamond top string on the second hole of the head. So once again, 9-diamond top string on the second hole of the head. Now let's go ahead and get into the pattern. We're going to start on the third hole of the head. So I'm going to put my string through that third hole. I'm using a red string here so that way you can see clearly. We're going to go up and through that first available mesh loop right here. Back into that same sidewall hole and up into that same mesh loop once again, just a standard tie on. And there we should have a loop. Now we're going to SI the next mesh loop, so down to the top of the next available mesh loop into the plastic from the outside. We're going to leave a small loop here. You're going to pull your leading edge string through that loop that you left there. So here you can see, pull this to the outwards or outside, up and down, then take your leading edge string, go from the bottom and up of that same mesh loop. And then there we have an SI. So after that SI, we're going to skip the next sidewall hole and then do a KSI, so down to the top of the plastic, or down to the top of the next mesh loop, into the plastic. We're going to leave a small loop on the outside here, just like that. Take your leading edge string, go from the back and through of that loop. And then from here, we're just pulling the slack through. On the inside of the plastic here, we're going to pull the slack out. There we go. You should see that nut starting to rest on the plastic or the bottom rail there. Take your fingertips, pinch the sidewall string to the plastic, and then pull the leading edge straight down. Really tight. This is going to create our knot for that knotted SI. And then with the leading edge string, going from the bobbin and up of that same mesh loop. And then there we have our first KSI. Now we're going to skip the next mesh loop and do another KSI, so down to the top of the next mesh loop, into the plastic from the outside, leaving a small loop. Taking your leading string, going from the back and through of that loop. Pulling the slack from the inside. Take your fingertips, pinch the sidewall string to the plastic, and then pull that leading in once again straight down. And then from the bobbin up, that same mesh loop there. And then there we have our second KSI. Now we're going to go ahead and start creating the pocket. We're going to do a 1SI. So taking your leading edge string, going from the bottom up of that next mesh loop, and then the top down of the following one. So under over, take the middle of the mesh, pinch it, and then pull it up towards the scoop. Take your leading edge string, pull it tight so that those mesh loops anchor to the plastic. You're going to go into the plastic from the outside, making sure to skip one sidewall hole. And then from this loop that's left, we're going to grab our string and then pull it through. And then pull your leading edge string outwards and then up and then down so that it's nice and tight. Take your leading edge string, go from the bottom up of that last mesh loop. And then before you pull this tightly, once again, pinch the middle of the mesh, pull it up towards the top of the scoop, and then outwards, up, and then down so that's locked down nice and tight. And then after that, 1SI, we're going to do 2 more KSIs down to the top of the next mesh loop. into the plastic from the outside, leaving a small loop just like we did before. Run the back and through that loop. Pulling the slack from the inside. Take your fingertips, pinch the solder string to the plastic, and then pull straight down. And then from the bobbin up. And then while I'm pulling this KSI, I'm taking my fingertips from the inside of the mesh, grabbing it, and then pulling up towards the top of the scoop, so that way we're pushing or pulling against each other, so that way we're creating the pocket, as well as keeping the definition. We're going to do that one more time, down to the top of the next mesh loop, into the plastic from the outside, leaving a small loop, run the back and through that loop, pulling your slack from the inside, pinch it, and then pull straight down, and then up and through the bottom of that same mesh loop. Now we're going to get ready to finish out the pocket. We're going to do 2 SIs, so down to the top of the next mesh loop, into the plastic, pulling this string through this small loop here, pulling it outwards, up and then down, from the bottom and up, from that same mesh loop, and we're going to do it one more time, down to the top of the next mesh loop, in and through that loop once again, outwards, up, down, and then through that same mesh loop. Now we're getting to the end of the pocket. We're going to go ahead and tie this one off. We're going to go into the plastic from the outside of this last available sidewall hole. We're going to leave a loop there. And then from the inside here, we have this next available mesh loop for use. You're going to take your string from the inside here and then go through this loop here. And don't pull it all the way through. We're still leaving that loop there. We're going to take our leading edge string, go through that loop that we left. What we're doing here is an interlock. You're gonna, before you pull this tightly, once again pinch the middle mesh, put it towards the top of the scoop, so that way they're pulling against each other. Take your leading edge string, pull it outwards, and then up, and then down, so that's nice and tight. Now to finish out, take your string, go over the top of that interlock we just did, but to the inside. So that's what it should look like there. And you might need needle pliers for this next part. Basically what we're just doing is taking our sidewall string and then putting it back in through that last sidewall hole. So here I'm taking pliers, getting the tip, pulling it back in through that same bottom sidewall hole. And then pulling that tightly. And that's what it should look like on the inside. And on the outside it should be nice and tight. And then from there we're simply just tying it off. Here we go. Alright, and with that we should be left with a pretty nice looking mid to kind of mid-low pocket in your STX Duel 2. Once again, it's going to be great for any face-off guy. Also has a really nice channel, so it's going to be nice and accurate. So with that, if you guys enjoyed the video or found it helpful, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more content, and thank you for watching.